Hey everyone, it's Ivan here with Ivanco Fitness. Very excited to have you here so that we can plan to make 2017 a year to remember. We've got our Resolutions That Stick workshop here. So I want to make sure that before we get started, you grab your PDF printed out on one sheet, two-sided, or two sheets if that's what you prefer. They have it printed out and you've got a pen or a pencil so that you can write. When we are going through the different steps and the different exercises and writing all these things down, I want to make sure that you feel comfortable to just hit the space bar or hit the pause button so that you can take the time to write the things down at your own pace. Now, I will say this, take the time to write it down, but write down what comes to mind. Don't overthink it. The reason that we keep this space to write small is so that you have what's true to you will come to you, and then you write it down and then you move forward. And as such, keep it simple, keep motivated, keep focused, and you'll be feeling super fresh at the end of this workshop. You'll be feeling like you're ready to tackle some very big goals for 2017. As much as we'd like to think, we have all the time in the world, our lives are finite. And what happens and where you are at the end of this year really actually is the result of your choices and your habits and the things that you set out to do. And those things, during this time of year is really a time when we can look ahead and decide to make some changes going forward. So I'm assuming that's why you're here, because you want to make changes, you want to make improvements, you want 2017, the during, to be more enjoyable and to have a sense of focus and a sense of moving your life forward, a sense of progress. And then at the end of 2017, you can actually reflect back on that. And because you'll have something to look at, you can really actually tangibly see those changes and celebrate that and make 2017 a more satisfying, a more fulfilling year. So we realize that we need more than a resolution, because a lot of people have the resolution. They have the big list of the things that, oh yeah, this year I'm going to be more this, and this year I'm going to do that, and this year I'm going to lose 20 pounds. And then it does or doesn't happen, and then life just continues, and it's not really a big deal. It's something that, by the time February comes around, is forgotten. And so we need more than that. If you want to achieve great things, it will have to come right down to a core identity level. And so we will need to have goal setting with substance to have that success. So my goal for this year is to make an impact in a lot of people. And so I'm super thankful that you can be here and be a part of my success in diving in to achieve your goals. So here we go. You got your sheet, you're ready to go. Let's do it. The first part you'll notice in this sheet is that you've got a spot here where it's got the grayed out script that says describe the dream. In that area, I will want you to write it down what your dream is. Now here's the thing. Notice that it's called a dream. It's not called a SMART goal. It's called a dumb goal for the reason that it is a big dream. It is beyond your current abilities. It is something that might even be a bit scary to commit to. But I want you to commit to it. I want you to dream really big. I want you to suspend your disbelief. I want you to suspend, what you feel you can or can't right now. And for this current moment, for this exercise, I want you to describe your highest sense of what you could achieve and what you want in your life, what you want in your health, what you want in your fitness, and take it beyond the lose 20 pounds. Or take it beyond the, have this percent body fat, or whatever that goal is that is just kind of very plain. Move beyond that. So the SMART goal is great, lose 20 pounds, it's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, but it's only left-brained. And humans have two brain hemispheres. Left-brained, which is, the objective, A to B, and, A plus B equals C. But we also need to engage our right brain, and our right-brained, function is going to be creative. It's going to be passionate. It's going to be, the part that plays and has fun. It's going to be the part that is connected to your heart and to your desire and to the passion, the same passion that put a man on the moon, the same passion that, took an idea of, hey, let's put people up into a tin can and fly them across the Pacific Ocean. That kind of passion, or first the Atlantic, right? Like That's the passion that breaks boundaries that we want to tap into. So go ahead, get your pen, and I want you to just suspend your disbelief for a moment, hit the pause button, and write down the description of the highest level of dream, the big dream that's for you today. Okay, you got that? So next we're going to move through something that helps to further define, what that is and what that's going to look like, and helps us to really identify with that dream. And that's experience, growth, and contribution. So go ahead and get your pen and write down in we're talking 30 seconds or less with regards to your health and fitness goal, with regards to this one dream that we're working on right now. Hit the pause button and just get ready to write down, what is it that you want to experience? What is it that you want to experience when you reach this goal, but also what is it that you want to experience in the journey? Go ahead and write that down. Next up, you're going to write down growth, because the big dream goals, as an author would put it, as the big, hairy, audacious goal, the one that potentially scares you, or the one that actually feels like a little bit beyond who you are. Why? Because it requires you to grow. It requires you to gain skills that you don't have right now, most likely, and it requires you to have habits and learn habits that you don't have right now, and it requires you to probably develop a discipline that you haven't had before, so it doesn't even line up with your current identity. So you will have to grow as a person. So hit pause right now and write down what areas of your life you're going to grow in, and what are the things that you need to change and learn, and the habits that you need to develop to get that. Go ahead and write that down for growth. All right, and next up we have contribution. So one of the very important things, in order for us to embrace our dream, in order for us to actually accept it, and then on a subconscious level, not self-sabotage, or to make sure that during the tough times, or when other important things come up, that we continue to pursue our dream instead of leaving everything we've worked for up until that point behind, is contribution. What does this dream contribute to your life? And I don't just mean your life, I mean the things that are important in your life, like your family, or your business, or your career, or whatever it is that's really, really important to you. So take, for example, the mom of 3 kids. Raising the kids all day in and out and whatnot, used to feel great in her body and just doesn't anymore, because she's set those priorities and those values aside to be present with her kids and to, be the homemaker, whatever it is, just put yourself into that situation for a moment to visualize that with me. She might have a goal of lose 20 pounds. And really, if now she's thinking, okay, well, I see it's not just lose 20 pounds, it's I want to feel great in my body again, and I want to feel confident again, or I want to feel awesome when we do our family vacation in the summer. And just because the weather's cold right now, I know that summer's going to come around, so I've got to work on it now. But then when it comes down to it, something happens, schedules get kind of mucked up or whatever, and then the dream falls off because, well, family is more important. The thing is, if that's you right now, or if this person is writing down their contribution and realizes now that my health is actually super important to that role, because my health and how I feel about my body and how I'm taking care of my body sets me up to be my best self, and it sets me up to make sure that they're set up and that they're responsible, and make sure that we're prepared, and it also makes sure that I'm giving them my best energy, I'm giving them my best joy, I'm a joyful person that's with them, I'm showing them by example that they need to take care of themselves, because that's what I want for them. When you connect your dream to what your contribution is, you will naturally follow through when your usual priorities would otherwise overrule it. Think of the person who's the career, the breadwinner, the provider, has big ambitions on the financial standpoint, and then things come up to the busy season in business, and now the workouts disappear. Well, guess what? If you look at it from the standpoint of, hey, I'm going to focus better, I'm going to achieve more. And guess what? I'm going to actually be healthy 20 years right from now, to enjoy the investment of time I'm putting in right now, and to really, be able to share that with my family and to contribute maybe to their children's lives. That is so important. And if you're just connected to that and realize, hey, my health and fitness goal is actually really connected to my goal of being a provider and being a career-oriented person, because that's why I'm doing those things, is to have that time, to have that freedom, to have that health and vitality to enjoy with them. So hit the thing on pause now and write down your contribution so we can wrap up the dream part and move on to the uplift. So go ahead and write that down. All right, now we're moving on to the uplift part of dumb goals. The first thing we need to do is learn from our success, because what is more uplifting than having success? And if health and fitness is an area that you haven't had much success in the past, the uplift part is of utmost importance. If you have had success in that area, this is simply going to be a multiplier that probably feels a little bit more natural to you, and you're just going to fly through this part. So pick one thing. In the first line, it says learn from your success. On that line, I want you to write down, pick one thing that you absolutely rock at. So go ahead and write it down. It could be anything that you're great at in life, or any major achievement or success that you've had. Okay, got that? Now, ask yourself, what drives you when things suck? So in terms of that area where you're very successful in life, I want you to write down what actually pulled you through your lowest point. What actually gets you through when you really don't want to do it? You're probably going to say, well, it's just grit. Like, you just had to do it. And guess what? That's connected to your identity of who you are. So if you look at whatever that successful area is, like for example, if you're saying, yeah, my greatest success is my children and my family, or my greatest success is that I'm the earner and the provider of my family, or I'm the earner and a builder of a company, and I'm the leader, or I'm the winner. I'm the winner at games, I'm the winner at sports, and I'm the winner at achieving the things I set out to do. Well, guess what? You have an identity in that. And that's why you have that grit, because you don't identify with stopping when things get tough. Now, if you haven't experienced that in your health and fitness goals, it's because you haven't actually shifted your identity yet to being a winner, to being somebody who succeeds in that area. And so hold on to that a little bit and write down the identity of that success. So write down whether it is, it's because I'm a father, or whether it's because I'm a spouse and that's the identity that I have, or I'm successful and this is what my parents taught. So write that down on the right side of that learn from your success line. Okay, got that? Now we're going to hit the next part, which is to come back to your why. So in a time of storm, coming back to your why is the anchor that you throw out. And it's very important that we throw out the anchor in time. So when you're about to have, your third day off and you realize, holy smokes, this could be like, derailing, or I'm headed towards that, you need to connect back to your why. Feelings are going to ebb and flow. The weather's going to change. There's going to be stormy seas. And you need to be able to tap into your dream again. And so when it comes to the why, and that second line where it says coming back to your why, I want you to write down, what happens if I don't do it? So what happens, for example, like we talked about that example of the mother. What happens if she continually doesn't follow her dream of loving her body and becoming confident and enjoying life from that standpoint again? What happens if she doesn't do it? Not just now. What happens at the end of this year? What happens in 20 years from now? So take that standpoint and write that down. Okay, if you have a little bit of space on that, come back to your why line again. I want you to write down what happens when you do it. What's the big win in the long run? What's your anchor? What's your uplift of, no, I'm going to pull through this storm because I have to reach that other side. It's integral to who I am. And write that down. And then we move on to the third line, which is define your identity. So on the define your identity line, we are going to match your dream, which is beyond who you are right now, and match it with your current identity. So we're not going to write down, well, your current identity might be like, well, I'm somebody who doesn't feel good about their body. Like, we know that that is subconsciously there in your mind, or somebody, who really just wants to attain that dream. We have to step forward into our next identity. So I want you to write down, I am in the process of, so go ahead and write down, I am in the process of being, I am in the process of becoming, I'm in the process of learning to be, and write that down. What is the person that you're becoming? What is the identity that you're in the process of getting into? And that's something that you can accept, is I'm in the process of. It may not be authentic, some people say, like, write down who you're going to be. I am, just feeling massively successful about my health and fitness. Well, you know what? Maybe you're not there right now. So that's not what you're going to write, but you can say that you're in the process of attaining it. Now, make sure when you look at that you define it, that you claim it, that you move past your feelings that might be like, uneasy feelings or unsure feelings. Breathe through that. It's okay. That's part of the process. And as you review this, it's going to become more and more natural, and you're going to notice how you're changing from the inside out. Next up on the fourth line is seek to be empowered. Nobody wants to be a slave to attain their goals. So maybe you're one of these people that just grit every day and you didn't enjoy one piece of the process, but you just did it. And if that worked for you to achieve whatever you're successful at, that's okay. But a lot of people nowadays, A, they don't have that level of grit to just do that. And B, there's actually a cost to doing that. Because once you reach the other side, if there is another side, to actually attaining that goal, we have sacrificed a great deal of joy in the journey. And guess what? A lot of people are afraid of discipline. They're like, I'm afraid of being disciplined with my workouts because it sounds like such drudgery. But then they look at other people who have that shifted identity and they realize, holy smokes, here's somebody that maybe doesn't feel like it right now, but they have it in their identity to be disciplined. And guess what? There's a joy in that discipline, because the joy might not be felt right away when you step into the gym or when you pull out your TRX to do, your training, or for example, when you say no to the burger and fries and beer that everybody else at the table is having, and you just decide no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go with the, side of salad, or I'm going to get that lettuce wrapped, or I'm going to have whatever it is, whatever choices that you need to make. When you're making the tough choices, there's a joy that comes to knowing that that choice is a part of your journey and that you are now embracing that new identity. And so we need to ask ourselves here, what is it that makes me feel most motivated? And what is it that makes me the most satisfied? So if you can't see that in your current dream goal, I want you to go back to what you're really successful at and what you're great at, and ask yourself, what puts you in the most uplifted state when the good choices are easy to make and you're like, nope, I'm doing this right now. And pull that into your experience now. What is the equivalent for that, for your dream, and apply it for this dream and for the success that you're looking to attain right now. Now write down 3 things that are going to put you in that zone. Write down 3 things that are going to put you in that motivated, powerful zone. Is it going to be music? Putting on the tunes, as you're headed to the gym, or putting on your tunes, or is it, closing the door to your home gym and being like, okay, I'm going to close this door until I'm through, and it puts you in a place of power? Or is it, for example, a talk from somebody that you listen to, or somebody that's your hero that you want to listen to? Is it a just go thing? So for example, you have all your stuff prepared and now it's just get out the door and go. And then that feeling of momentum is what pushes you forward. Is it a friend that you have to talk to? Is it somebody, that's your mentor? Is it a coach that you have? Somebody who's teaching you and you're saying, hey, just letting you know I'm making the tough decision. Or you take a picture of the meal that you just ordered because you're like, hey, this could have been a burger and fries, and celebrate that moment with them. And that feeling of empowerment, I can feel it right now. It's just it's raising the hairs on my head and I can feel that. Is it looking in the mirror and just being like, Ivan, you're going to do this. Now go and do it. And then turn around and go and get it done. Write down 3 things right now that are going to put you in your state of empowerment. So now we're going to move on to method. And method is actually where most people start their goal setting and goal planning. It's the how you're going to get there. What are the things that you need to do, and what is your map of how to get there? So now that we have our X point, which is our X on the treasure map, and we know where we're going to plan backwards from that point to where we are today. Just like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People teaches, the first habit is begin with the end in mind. So we've got that, we've got our right brain engaged to that with our heart, we've got it defined, and now we have to plan backwards in steps so that we know the steps and the how to get those steps. For example, if you have a really big goal of running the Boston Marathon, but you've only just really done a few 10Ks and you've done the Sun Run a few times, your first goal is not just going to be to run a marathon. Your first goal is actually going to be maybe to run a half marathon successfully. And then the next goal after that will be to run a half marathon confidently, and then to do a marathon successfully, like just to have done it, and then to actually work on getting your qualifying time so that you can qualify for Boston, and then from there, actually do the Boston Marathon. So when you're looking at a dumb goal, it's got a big dream behind it, and you're going to have to plan backwards from the end point. So where it says milestones, I want you to, in that very short amount of space, very succinctly go ahead and write down what your end point is. So if it's run the Boston Marathon, then write run the Boston Marathon. Go ahead. The next part is a 3, 2, and a 1. So those are the waymarks that are on the way. So on the number 3, I want you to write down, for example, for this Boston Marathon runner, the number 3 point would be he's getting ready to qualify. So for example, he has now successfully run a marathon, or maybe he's run his second one and it's close to his time. So I want you to just project, visualize forward. What's the point in your path towards your dream that tells you you're well on your way? And go ahead and write that down. Then when you have that, I want you to write the number 2, which is essentially a step in between where you are and what you're trying to achieve now, and that really well on your way. So for example, number 2 for the Boston Marathon runner might be, he or she has been running for a solid year, and he's done a couple half marathons now. He's at that spot. So now he's ready to tackle like the next step. He has to now take it to the next level, but he's doing really well. He's clearly moving forward with his goal. So go ahead and write that down for number 2. And then for number 1, what is it that you need to work on today? So what is the goal that's in your visible horizon right now that you need to attain? And this is actually where most people stop in their resolution, is they start towards the goal, but they don't even know what that first goal is. So then their subconscious says, how is, starting workouts going to get me to my big dream? It's not. So why am I here? So what this goal does is it allows you to put a small goal that says, for example, if you haven't been training really well and your, kitchen has become a mess in terms of what's in the cupboards and in the fridge, and now you've got all these, all this self-sabotage going on, you're in trouble. The first goal is actually just to shift you into engaging towards the dream. And it's the waymark that says, hey, I've actively engaged in the pushing towards attaining this dream again. It's that part where you can be like, yeah, cool, I'm back on track, or I'm on track and I'm making progress. So write that down and define that, whatever it is. Now, I will say this, it's very important that you make this something that you can truly attain in under 90 days. In fact, I would say write down something that is attainable in your mind in the next 45 days, or maybe even 28 days, like a habit that you have to build, a 4-week thing. And go ahead and write that down, because otherwise it's going to be too far in advance and you're going to be trying to build towards it. And then the first tough time that comes along, you're going to be like, oh, that's a far ways away. and you need to extend your timeline, and then you feel off. So write something that is totally attainable within a 45 or even less day time period. And then if it needs to extend to 90 days, then that's okay. All right, so now we filled out the success, the 3, the 2, and the 1. And we're going to move on to actionables and practice. Now, the actionables are the things that you need to do right now to get moving. So actionables could include something like buy a TRX so that I can start doing at-home workouts, or clear out the garage so that I can train in the garage. Whatever it is, it's the things that you need to do in one time. Or for example, like if you're in a spot right now where you don't fit into your training clothes, or you want to go to the gym but you don't feel comfortable because how is that going to fit? You might need to go and set it in right now in the actionables, write it down, that you need to go and shop for some things that make you feel good when you're at the gym, etc., or a new pair of runners, or whatever it is that you need. Now, you've got those actionables down, figure out what those things are, take a moment, write them down. Okay, you've figured out the things that you need to get moving. Okay, here's the next thing, very important. I want you to either, whatever you do to schedule, open up your schedule, open up your phone, and schedule those events in right now, and find the earliest opportunity to do those things and to get those list items checked off. Okay, you've paused it, you've scheduled those things in, we're good to go? Then we're good to go. We're setting ourselves up for success here. Next up, you have to develop a practice. So if your goal is, let's say for a business person wants to take a $100,000 company and 10 times it to $1 million company. He doesn't only have to do, or she doesn't have to only do certain things once or twice to do that. There are going to be certain processes, certain daily grinds that they're going to have to do over and over and over again in that initial stage before this practices change and upgrade to the next step, which is like the number 2 and the number 3. They're going to have to do those practices over and over again and develop those practices to be effective so that they can attain their goal. So I want you to write down what are the skills that you need to work on. And I'm not just talking about, let's say, the skill of, having a good gym workout and being able to fit that in 30 minutes. That could be a skill. What about carving out the time so that you can have a good workout? Or what about the skill of being efficient by having your gym bag packed as a part of who you are? Just like when you open the fridge, there's milk in the fridge. Or, for non-dairy people and whatever, like maybe it's not milk. In fact, I would say hopefully, but getting off track here. What are the things that you need to develop on a practical level that will enable you to have a successful practice? And going back to, just for a moment, going back to actionables, what are the things you need to move out of the way? So maybe you need to go and get shoes for your workout, or get the TRX so you can do home workouts or clear out the garage. But what are the things that you need to actually move out of the way? So for example, if you have a habit, for example, of just lazing out on the couch and having, you following your favorite series, you may actually have to change that and cancel your subscription right now in order to get the alignment you need to give you your goal. And then one day, just let it rest for now, but one day you might be like, hey, you know what? Maybe I can watch a series and I feel good. But for now, take the action on the alignment. What's standing in the way, and make those things change. And for the practice, what are the abilities that you need to develop? What are the habits that you need to develop? Which actually moves us down to behavior. Behavior repeated over and over, the practice that you develop, to attain the number 1, which will then change when you go to goal set point and milestone number 2, which will again change when you get to number 3. The behavior of practicing those things over again, trusting the process, making sure that you have an effective process that you can trust, that's going to give you the results. Those are all things that we need to do. And so that gets us to the next spot of behavior. So make sure you've written out the practice. Like, what is it that you're going to do? Like, is it daily workouts that are small, that are kind of like minimum dose, and that's how you're going to get it in? Is it actually maybe adding one workout day because you're already decently successful, or you have a healthy lifestyle? What is it that you need to add and change? Right. So now that we have a handle on our method, and we can go very far in depth in that. In fact, if you're wondering, shoot, like, what is my program? Shoot, what are the daily things I need to do? Go and research. Actionables right away will be go and research those things, or hire a coach, or even just get a personal trainer to go through those things with you and get the resources that you need to, so that your practice is clearly defined. We're ready for behavior now. The first thing that we got to do is log your progress daily. And that's what sends us to the second page here, or the other side of this form here, of the PDF. You've got a log. Now you'll notice that the log is not like, this spreadsheet with like set 1 and set 2 and whatever. That's not what this is about. This is just a general progress log of where each day you give a very basic reflection of how that day went with regards to your big dream. And so it is good. It's absolutely great to log your workouts and to log your activity. A lot of people use nutrition logging, for example, to really, take their nutrition to the next level, or whatever practice it is that you need to do. Anybody in a field where they're chasing success at a high level will be logging their success. They always have stats. They always have things that they can look back at. Well, on the very large outset, just like we have a schedule, we also need to have a basic daily log that lets you be able to look back at the week and see how you've done, and also realize, shoot, this is the second day now, or the third day it might be, that I haven't really actually been pushing towards my dreams. So having this log as a part of your ledger, or your schedule, or on your desk, somewhere where you're going to access it, is really, really important to your success. And your brain actually subconsciously knows, just like you have a task, for example, like the dishes are piling up, it actually subconsciously starts to know, and it builds that habit, that behavior of knowing that you have to check into that log. And that is going to keep you accountable in the day-to-day. If you're one of these people that like, shoot, how did this happen? I'm like so far away from my goal now, and I've just realized it now, and now I feel horrible. So it's going to help you through that part. And that brings us to the next part, is just keeping it simple. Keep your logs simple, keep your actionables simple, keep your practice simple. And I like Einstein's quote that says, he said, if you don't know how to express something simply, you don't know it well enough. So if you're starting to get like really left and right, and really a lot of like details here and there, and a lot more than you can fit on this page, it's probably because you need to actually seek clarity. And so whatever it is that you need to do that, whether it's research, or having a coach, or having a sit down with your friend, or your buddy that is successful in this area, do that. Go and put that in your actionables, and make sure that you seek clarity, and then it's easy to keep things simple. So the most successful people, because of their knowledge in the area, because of their planning in an area, keep things very simple. And that's a really good behavior to have. And then the next thing we have here is being good to yourself. Every super high level athlete has a coach. Every great athlete has a coach, whether it's internally or somebody that they've hired. If you're one of these people who are very highly independent, or you are not looking to hire a coach, we have to realize that ultimately we are coaching ourselves. And we have to put ourselves in the position and actually compare ourselves to, how would your best friend coach you? How would your role model coach you? What would they say to you in that situation? And if you find yourself, say, beating yourself up or doubting yourself or whatever it is, you need to pause for a sec and really actually just take a moment to be good to yourself and actually say, okay, what would a high-level coach do in this situation? How would they guide me through this? And start doing that for yourself. Here's a secret. It's the secret of all the people who do really, really well with seemingly no coaching and no mentorship. Those people have that dialogue going on already in their head. And if you need to reach out to somebody to help realign you, and you need to call a friend, or you need to send out a text, or say, hey, hold me accountable for this, or hey, I'm having a hard time, go ahead and do that. But ultimately, we want to build and develop that to be an internal process within ourselves. Think about, for example, how you would treat or teach a child. And then realize that you're just really a child. You're just learning. You're just growing. And give yourself that patience and give yourself the instruction and say, okay, wipe off your hands, like assess your area around you. You fell, it's okay. How are you going to prevent this in the future? Okay, what's your goal? Okay, let's get moving. What's the next actionable step towards that goal? And let's get moving forward again so that your next week that you write out in your log looks better than this one. And then you can really reflect and say, holy smokes, last week was like a breakdown and 3 days looked rough and then this happened. And this week I completely changed it. Which brings us to the little spot right here where it says not only to log what you do, but every day to have one little gratitude. To write one thing. So, if some people are like, gratitudes and all this wishy-washy, it's like, okay, if you're thinking that right now, just think of what's making you happy. What makes you happy about something that's moving you towards your goal, something that you did today. And if today feels like a horrible day and you're logging it, then you can give yourself gratitude for recognizing that. Give yourself gratitude for coming back to the log and being real with yourself and deciding to do something about it. And then write down one success, and that can be your success right there. At the end of each week, you're going to do what is on the right here, which is the weekly review. And so the weekly review, you're going to reflect on your week. You might actually have a week where you feel, I feel pretty good. And then you look back and you're like, wait a minute, we actually didn't do too well that week. Great, that's really good to know. What are the things that you're going to plan? So in the weekly review, you're going to have the reflection part and you're going to plan. But also don't forget to reflect on your dream and on your uplift. Don't forget to reflect on the method and change and adapt your method as you go so you're very clear and so that you're learning and applying based on what you learn and actually applying it into hard action points so that you're always getting better and moving forward with yourself. You're always keeping up with yourself so that when you finish step number 2, you're going to be ready for step number 3, and so on and so forth. You're always staying current with your goal and your dream. And then make sure you schedule. So for example, look at the week ahead. You've done your 7-day log. Now you're going to want to plan and schedule the week ahead. Is there a really busy day? Okay, we got to make sure that we go to sleep early the night before so that we can get a really good workout in before that long day. Or we got to make sure that, holy smokes, when am I going to buy groceries? And you're actually going to be able to reflect on those things and then schedule accordingly, which is going to be a huge factor to your success, which gives you huge amount of momentum with your results and changes things completely. And then the next thing here it says is to celebrate, is to have a safety valve and to celebrate. And with the celebration, it's very important to realize when you're that person that, let's say you have a big goal and you want to make some big changes. A lot of people say, somebody will be like, holy smokes, you've lost some weight. Like, wow, well done. How'd you do that? And then we've probably heard this. We've seen this person before where they're like, oh yeah, well, it's just, I've got lots more to go. Is that how you would talk to a kid, or imagine a kid said that to you. It'd be kind of hurtful. It'd be like, no, but you're just growing. You did a major accomplishment. Like, you're just still moving forward. That's fine. Like, let's celebrate that. I don't know where along in our path in society we've learned to kind of suppress recognizing the steps and the good things that we're doing. Not only the actions, but also the fact that, like, let's say when you've come along in your goal and somebody recognizes, hey, you've been really consistent with your workouts. I mean, it's not good and it's not nice to be like, oh yeah, I've been doing great and, and there's a kind of lower side to pride, but there's also the good side of pride. It would be like a good way to respond to that would be like, hey, thanks for recognizing that. I guess you're right. Or, hey, thanks very much for pointing that out. It's been something that I've been working really hard on. And now, guess what? You're changing your identity. You went from somebody who had that goal and has a lot to work on to somebody who's actually making progress. And that's that change in identity that we were talking about in Uplift. And soon you'll notice that you're flowing with that energy all the time. Have a safety valve is the last part that we didn't cover, and that is your anchor. So when your anchor's not working, it's your mayday call. It's your saying, hey, I'm in a really rough storm right now, and I think I could tell that I'm going down the path where it's going to derail me, or, the last week I haven't even logged. You need to have a safety valve. You need to, tell a friend maybe right now and tell them and say, hey, these are my goals. You need to share these goals with somebody that will uplift you. Maybe even actually having a coach. If there's nobody in your life that will support you, you need to find that support. Even like an online community, go join an online community and say, guys, like, this is new for me. I feel really vulnerable, but like, this is my goal. And then have that safety valve. And a really good indicator of when it's time to pull the safety valve, which is kind of like the fire alarm, is not like, I smell smoke. Oh, it's coming out from over there. And then going there. It's like, no, there's clearly a fire here. So when you mentally in your mind see smoke like billowing, then it's time to pull the lever. That smoke is characterized as being in a bundle of negative thoughts that you can't get yourself out of. So if you notice that you're in a state of negative thoughts where all you're thinking about is how you're falling off and how are you going to, regain this, how are you going to make your goal on time, and you review your dumb goals and it's not doing it, then you need to pull your safety valve. Then you need to go in the community and say, hey guys, I'm feeling kind of lost right now. Or call your friend or call your coach and say, hey, I want to sit down and let's not do a training session. I want to sit down and get regrouped because I'm losing my way. And having that and being able to realign, those people are going to be so supportive and also so aligning to you. They're going to take you beyond what you can just do to, put that fire out, and they're going to, pull out the big guns and be like, hey, here's the fire department. Let's put this fire out and let's get you back to, to living and moving forward with your goals happily. So that's it for dumb goals. I hope you guys have had an awesome time planning these and mapping these out with me. I invite you to reach out. I invite you to reply or to go on our Facebook and share with us what's your goal. What are the questions that you have? What are the questions, not just about the goal setting, but what are the questions that you have about your method or about your behaviors? Is this more effective, or what should I be doing? We're happy to help. That is what we're all about. And, what is it? Share with us what you want to learn. Share with us, what you want to attain. Put it out there and get out there and attain your goals. Get out there and make it happen every day. Log your results, review it, share that, and make sure you celebrate with your friends. You could be 2 weeks down the line here, or you could be, 28 days and you're starting to see that, your goal is materializing. And, if your friends aren't like that supportive where they'll celebrate with you, just do it quietly. Like maybe just call your friends out and say, hey, let's have a couple drinks, or hey, let's enjoy a meal together. And then during that meal, you could be like, hey, I just want to let you know, I've been just really happy because of this thing that I'm attaining. And if your friends are like, oh, great, then you still have to have that celebration, whether it's within yourself. Find that supportive group and really celebrate the steps along the way and make that a part of you attaining your goals. Because guess what? That's going to be the key to having a more satisfying, fulfilling life. It's going to be the key to having the bliss of the journey along the way, the discipline of being blissful, what I like to call the blisscipline of really attaining and being in the journey. Once we start to see those results, once we start to learn to actually celebrate, that, hey, look at this log compared to my log today. Look at this log 3 weeks ago. I was struggling with that and now I'm solid here. Those are the things that are going to bring a lot more satisfaction, a lot more enjoyment to our life. And then when you hit your big milestones of success, you're going to feel awesome about it. It's going to empower you to do more. It's going to empower and inspire those around you. And you're going to look back and not even identify with where you are today because of how far you've come along from the inside and out.